Welcome back, it's Clever and Smart, and today we will take a look at how you can make your own Lego instructions for a custom Lego set, just like I do. I have made a few videos like this before, and they have always used Lego Digital Designer as a base for creating the 3D Lego model before making the instructions. However, Lego Digital Designer is no longer supported by Lego, so it's missing the new pieces you may want to use in your models. It also happens that Lego Digital Designer is a 32-bit application, which basically means that it's too old to run on, for example, Mac computers running macOS Catalina or later. If you are someone affected by the lack of pieces in LDD, you have a new Mac, or you just want to create amazing Lego instructions of your models, then follow me as I'll go over the basics of Studio, the most up-to-date 3D Lego software with built-in instruction generator. First off, you'll need to download the Studio software, which you can find at the website stud.io, or by using the link in the description. Get the correct version for you if you're using Mac or Windows. This tutorial will work for all of you. Now that you have downloaded Studio, you can open it. You have several options to create your model. I'd recommend you use the built-in way since it has the most compatibility and amount of pieces available. However, you can also import your old Lego models from Lego Digital Designer, so let's import a wind turbine I made a few years ago. Click on Import, and I actually have the wind turbine right here in the LXF file format, which is the Lego Digital Designer file format. I click on Open, and it opens right up. Now, this is a very small model and it only has 66 pieces. However, if you have a big model with thousands of pieces, I'd recommend you begin by creating a few submodels. A submodel is a section of your model that will help you, and also the builder, to follow along in the instructions. Lego uses submodels in their instructions as well. To create a submodel, select the pieces you want your submodel to consist of by using the Command key on Mac or the Control key on Windows, and click on the pieces. I select the base and the bottom of the main pillar of this wind turbine. When you have selected the pieces you wanted, click on the Create into Submodel button, right here. Now, you don't have to name these, but you can if you want. I'll just leave it as it is. Now, if you have parts of your model that are made up of several identical smaller models, then you should make each of these into a submodel and then link them together so you don't end up with multiple pages of building the same thing over and over. To link submodels together, get to the lower right window where you'll see a list of all your parts and submodels. Select the submodel you want to link together and then click on the Link Submodels button. Alright, now that the submodels are created, we will start by clicking the Instruction button at the top. We want to proceed. This will take us to the instruction view of the model. To the left, you will see the steps of your instructions, of which there are just one this far. At the bottom, you'll find the submodels that you just created, as well as the rest of the pieces that didn't end up in a submodel. Now, I'd like the person who will be building this to start with the base plate. I'll select the submodel where the base plate is in, and then click on the View Steps button. You will be able to see all of the parts of this model at the bottom here. I can select the piece I want to start with by either clicking directly on it in the 3D view, or by selecting it in the list of pieces at the bottom. I'll then click on the Step Before button, which basically just moves the piece to a new step before the one where we are at. Doing this will let you see the pieces add up to the final model, just like your instructions will do. Just make sure to also have the glasses up here deselected, otherwise you'll only see the pieces you just added, and the rest will be transparent, which might be handy at other times. Let's say I want the next step to include all 4 of the base pieces. Then I'll select them all and press the Step Before button. They will then appear together in the new step. I don't have to do it for these 4 pieces, since they are the only ones left in this submodel. I click Return to Parent to go back. At this point, we got 6 identical submodels to build. Since we already linked them together, the steps we create for one of them will be automatically added to the others as well. So we click on the submodel, we click View Steps, and I want this part to be the first one, this part to be the second one, and then the top one at last. So now I click Return to Parent, and if I open any other of these, let's say this one, you can see that the steps are carried over. So now that we have created the steps for the submodels, I want to place this first submodel as the first step of the instructions. So I press the submodel and then step before, and it will be its own step. Then I will do the same for the rest of the columns, step before, and now you can see that this submodel is the first one, then these submodels is the second one, and now we have the wind turbine itself. There's actually one more thing that I can show you, and that is that we can select multiple pieces and drag and drop them to new steps. So let's say I forgot to add the last piece of this into the previous step before. Now I want this piece to also be in the step before, and I can actually drag this onto that step, and it will appear here. So I'll continue to do the rest off camera, and I'll be back when I'm finished. Alright, so I actually ended up using 2 submodels for this, so one for the rotor and one for the generator. Anyways, now that the steps are completed, it's time to actually design the pages of the instructions. So first we need to click on the page design button up here. Now it looks kinda messy, but before we change that, let's take a look at the page setup. You find that button up here in the right hand corner. This is where you select your page size and color mode depending on if you're going to print your instructions or show them on a screen. Now I'm going to show this on a screen, so I will choose RGB and I will leave the size as A4. Alright, there are a ton of options available when you're creating your instructions. I'll show you the most important ones. Just as with real LEGO instructions, you have the options to have multiple steps per page in the Change Layout menu. And if you go to the Insert menu, you can even add arrows, rotation signs, text, images, and more. If you go to the Global Style panel to the right, you can change the background of your instructions, which I'm going to set to some kind of light blue, something like that. Now, if you only want these changes to be on one page, you can go into the Format panel instead. And this is also where we can change the issue we have here. This image is way too big, and we can click on it, and then we'll get the specific information about that, and we can change the scale to be way less, like that. Now, back in the Global Style panel, you can also change the text font, the size, and the color. If you continue scrolling down, you'll find the parts list options, where you can edit the way your parts list appear on each page. Further down you'll find the option to change the color of the outline that appears around new parts that help the builder see what parts were added in each step. The default color is red. I'll change mine to yellow. And I'll also increase the thickness to 3. The submodel preview options are about the small preview window that you'll see whenever there's a submodel being built in a step. So right up here in the corner we have a submodel, and that's what the submodel preview option will change. So you can change the background color, the border radius, and so on. Callouts are similar to the submodel preview windows, but include the submodel steps inside of the window itself. This is useful for smaller submodels, such as the pillar ones right here. So if you click on this step right here, we can change Convert to Callout in the right hand menu. Now this is a bit too big, so we can actually just click on this first step inside of it and change the scale. And we can actually move it around as well. And if we want to, we can use columns instead of rows up in the right hand corner here. Also the arrow can be moved around as well. Now we do have 6 arrows because these are 6 different submodels. I actually don't want to use arrows in this case because it's messy, so we can turn the arrows off by going down in the format panel here and then choose none. Another thing that can be helpful to do is if we, for example, want to rotate this piece in the middle here. You can select this step, go into change step view up in the top right, and then we can rotate the model orientation. For example, doing the Z value to 90 will make it lay flat, which is just as I want. This will also appear on the next steps, which is perfect, but I don't want this to be on the last step where we assemble everything. So I want this one to be different, so I select that one, change step view, and I revert this to 0. Now this will only affect the steps after, and this is the last step, so that's perfect. But I would actually want this to be from the front. So I can go in here and, for example, 90 on Y will make it look like it's from the front. At the end of the instructions, you may want to include a parts list to show the builder exactly what parts went into your model. Click on the new page button up here, and a new page will be added. Then go to Insert and select Bill of Materials. And there is your parts list. Now, as we can see, this bill of materials takes up 3 pages, and to make this smaller, we can just click on this step and make this scale smaller to the right, until we see that everything fits in. Also, don't forget to remove the empty steps by right-clicking and selecting Delete. Now that your instructions are finished, you'll want to export them, and you can do this here in the top right. Now this gives you a few options. The first one will let you choose between exporting as a PDF or PNG images. I'll always recommend a PDF unless you have a specific need for PNG images. The size will basically alter how sharp your instructions will look, and a higher number will be looking better but take longer to export. Now that's it! Now you know how to create great instructions in the Studio software. I hope this tutorial was helpful, and if you have any questions, put them in the comments below, and I'll try to answer every single one of them. Thanks for watching!